This group of eager football fans behind me are changing the game, breaking it down into minute details so that viewers, coaches and even players are approaching it in a whole new light. We visited Opta's headquarters in the heart of London to find out exactly how all those statistics that you see on your television screen appear.
Can you give him a chance missed? Yeah. Thanks, mate.
For every game we have 3 analysts, so one analyst is doing the home team, one of the away team, and there's a third person who's doing a live quality control on our data. So each analyst is logging on the screen where the ball is being touched, who it's being touched by, what kind of action that player is doing with the ball, when it's happening. They will be communicating between each other whenever there's a possession changeover, and then the third person is doing a quality control to ensure we've got the correct player ID and the correct event type.
So can football teams use this data at half-time to change their tactics or create new tactics?
Data on its own is not necessarily going to be the single point of differentiation for a team. It's another ingredient in the mix that's going to inform or give the coaches another opinion, another point of view. We're actually one of the only providers that would supply live data, so all of our clients can access that data at half-time and in the dressing room. Now, potentially 5 minutes before a coach is going to give his team talk, him and his analysts and his analytical team can have a review of the data. Any particular important trends that have come out of the first half, that can then be incorporated into his talk to the team. But so much of that is down to interpretation of the data and what's really meaningful.
And how has it changed the recruitment process for new players? Can you give us any specific examples of where this has happened?
This is one of the key areas that we're heavily involved in with teams. So right now it's becoming a global transfer market. Teams can recruit players from several hundred different countries. Now, in order to efficiently scout each player, each potential transfer target, you'd have to have an army of scouts covering every corner of the globe. Now, data could be an extra pair of eyes for you essentially there. It can spot the players that are doing something different. Now, we can't tell you they're going to be the perfect signing for you, but we can say that they're performing better than other players in that league and potentially the ones you should look at first if you're going to send a scout. So all of this is to try and make teams more efficient in the players that they identify. And then when it comes to actually acquiring players, we're investing 20, 30, 40 million pounds in a player. That's a huge acquisition for any organisation. So having some data, some objective information, we feel lowers the risk in terms of that investment, and we're trying to help clubs become smarter in terms of the investments they make.
So obviously there's a lot of focus on just how much footballers are paid. Do you think this could ever be used to quantify just how much they should be paid for each match?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't go down terribly well with the players if we introduced performance-related play, but related to recruitment in terms of making teams more efficient and lowering the risk in their acquisitions, it's the same for their contracts and the weekly wage. And using data as an indicator of what value the club is getting out of that contract, absolutely. In most businesses outside of football, outside of sport, performance-related play is absolutely accepted. So, when the sums of money we're talking about in football, why not?